Welcome to Morning Coffee with Bob. I'm your host, Bob. You know, coffee bean is actually a fruit. It's called a coffee cherry. And they just take the seed. The coffee bean is the seed inside of the fruit. They throw the fruit away most of the time. I don't know if anybody actually uses it or not. I don't think they do. They literally throw the fruit away. They keep the bean. They roast the bean and make coffee beans. But it's actually just the seed to a fruit. It ripens to like a red or a yellow, and then that's when they harvest the seed out of it. Anyway, I went to a Starbucks this morning and seen kids were striking at a Starbucks. Not all of them. I mean, they're not completely 100% unionized, but I was thinking, good grief, there's kids in a Starbucks making coffee that are more organized than truck drivers. Truck drivers have been around forever, and 80% of this industry, 80%, that's why we're not part of the Fair Labor Standards Act. You know, the God Act, the guaranteed overtime for truckers that's in Congress now. That's actually eliminating the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. And when you hear that, you probably think, well, that's an old thing. We live by the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 today. The minimum wage that was set was used by that same thing today. Our government and your minimum wage is based off of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938. We're living by it today. And truck drivers aren't a part of it. They're not a part of that because when they had the Fair Labor Standards Act, truck drivers were back then paid by mileage, percentage, ton, all these different ways. And they said, you know what, since the trucking industry is 80% unionized, we believe that the union will provide and make sure that they have a fair wage, a safe work environment, and benefits. And the truck driving industry did that all the way up till, around half a time, they started just breaking down the unions. Now there's less than 5% unionized in the truck. And that's who set the prevailing wage. That's how truck drivers made a lot of money back then. Truck drivers used to make a lot of money because we were unionized. And now people want to talk really bad about unionized. And then they start talking about how they don't make any money. The reason you were able to make a lot of money in trucking is because we were unionized and there was a prevailing wage that was set by the Teamsters. That's how that happened. And we are still not a part of the Fair Labor Standards Act. And that bill that's in Congress called the Guaranteed for Overtime, it's a really short bill, Guaranteed Overtime for Truckers, basically amends the Fair Labor Standards Act and then will include truck drivers in the Fair Labor Standards Act. Even railroad workers are not allowed or are not in the Fair Labor Standards Act also. So truck drivers and railroad workers are not part of the Fair Labor Standards Act. If people actually just knew and understood the history and how our government worked and how civics worked, and took the time to understand, instead of listening to people saying unions are bad, that's not true. The companies have to be just as bad as a union. There's not a single union in the world that's ever ruined a company. Not one. Because unions can only do three things. They only have three jobs: fair wage, safe work environment, benefits. That's the three jobs of any labor union. That's what they do, period. If a labor union is doing more than that, it's because they got in bed with the company and they started owing each other favors. That's how that happened. But if you had somebody running a union and running a business, because it takes two to tango, and if they were both doing what they were supposed to be doing, there wouldn't be any problems. Anyway, everyone just believes one side of the story. The union ruined it, but they never asked the union. I don't know. That's what's going on today. Have a nice day and enjoy your coffee.